Everyone on this call, I'm sure, can relate to austerity. A flat budget seems a distant memory, a luxury. The reality is that budgets are declining, and most of us will experience smaller teams being expected to deliver the same or more. Austerity is not going away. All public sector organisations have implemented the easy savings. It's getting harder and harder to make more savings. You need to get smart. We all know that many services are mandated by central government. They're not optional. To achieve additional large savings, there are examples of shared services. These do achieve big savings, typically through headcount reduction and removal of duplication of effort, and savings with consolidation of vendors. But these savings, particularly in HR and vendor duplication, are only achieved once. To maintain savings over additional years, you need to be smarter. Imagine if you could continually fine-tune a process to optimally deliver services over and over again, and you knew the impact of a new process and all the existing ones before it went live. Next slide, please. Processes are everywhere. Everything we do is a process. A typical local authority runs on many hundreds of processes involving multiple applications, people, and organizations. Most people will honestly answer they have no visibility of an entire process end to end, and that's fair enough. But when tasked with cost reduction and efficiencies, it's essential that you make decisions based on fact, not assumption. Be honest with yourself. Do you know the 3 processes in your organization that are the highest cost or the most resource intensive? Or at a more granular level, which part of a process has the highest cost? If there's 2 processes doing the same task, which one is the most efficient? And where are the bottlenecks for X process? This is the visibility that we need in order to drive the efficiencies to combat austerity. Next slide, please. So process improvement can only be made if you have visibility of the process through a single, intuitive interface. You need to know what you've got before you can begin to improve it. Mapping processes is an intuitive, collaborative, social media-oriented interface has paid huge dividends for several public sector clients. And we'll hear about those later on this call. Next slide, please. So I want to just say a word about our partners, T-Impact. This webcast is jointly by IBM and T-Impact, and T-Impact have been an IBM partner for the last 10 years, consistently delivering cost savings to public sector clients in process improvements. And this point is important. These savings have typically been achieved in weeks, not months or years, and that's so important in these aggressive austerity times. T-Impact are on G-Cloud and have capability in consultancy and implementation of process mapping tools. And if you want to get to know T-Impact after this session, you will find out that they have, in the process of improving processes, they have the full capability. So that's my part there. Next,
Unmuted.
I want to hand the call across to...
Thank you, Richard. That's a great introduction. My name is Tim Pinchin, and I'm a specialist working at T-Impact. As Richard said, we're an IBM family partner, and we're working to design, automate, and improve business processes, and that's all we do. And I'm here today to talk to you about our case study for the work that we've completed at the Post Office. The Post Office have been running one of the biggest transformation programs in the history of the UK. Just to give you an idea of the scale of the problem, if you take all of the retail branches of all of the major banks in the UK, and you add all of those branches together, and then you double them, you still don't get anywhere close to the number of branches that there are in the Post Office network. And that gives you a kind of idea of the scale and the scope of this project. Because of the size and the length of the programme, the Post Office had to reduce delivery costs by 25%, but they were really keen to avoid what they would call slash and burn projects, and that's the kind of project that reduces costs very quickly, but also really heavily impacts the quality and value for customers, for shareholders and for employees. It's really the absolute definition of an invest to save project, where looking at a small level investment up front can really mean a huge potential saving for the long term. Now, the post office has some internal process capability and lots of individuals that know how to add value to products. So why did they choose to engage a specialist firm like T Impact? Well, they chose us because there was a gap around true process knowledge and how to deliver that sustainable process improvement internally. And there's often issues with culture and other things within a large organisation which are best handled by an external partner. We agreed with the post office a fixed price, fixed length engagement to map out the end-to-end customer journey for their network transformation programme and confirm these 4 points that you see on this slide. So the current costs of the process and the efficiency levels, and looking at the cost savings and the improvement opportunities for the project, and to clarify and provide a business justification for the end-to-end workplace solution. We've put in our quote here from Ian Kennedy, who was the Network Transformation Director at the Post Office, for you to read, and we'll circulate these slides to you all at the end of the webinar. But as you can see, he was very impressed with the work we did for him. So the question is, why should you do something? Well, public sector bodies we speak to consistently tell us that they're under significant pressure from government to deliver increased value for money and need a clear plan for delivering increased efficiency, effectiveness and economy. And most of the organisations that we talk to tell us they're also keen to ensure that if they get audited, they also have clear visibility of when and how they're making improvements. So for example, if an organisation is running operations with no controls and therefore lots of risk, what's the cost of that in terms of control, waste and lost opportunity? How can we reduce that risk over the short to medium term? Another question is how do we or how should we ensure that any reform to our organisation that involves deliberate changes to underlying processes will help the organisation run better and improve the experience of our customers, which has got to be the key question to answer. And then finally, how do we do all of that whilst reducing the costs throughout the organisation? So these are the questions that the Post Office needed to answer, and the reason why they chose to act with their network transformation programme. So let me tell you what the Post Office actually got out of the project and what it involved. So to start off with, any engagement like this in an organisation, there's a need for us as a partner to really understand the culture and the ambition of the organisation and how we can assure that the benefits of the project will be hit. So as a result, we find it's very, very important to spend time with our customers at the beginning of the process before the project gets started to really understand what they're trying to achieve. Now, we did this with the Post Office and spent a lot of time understanding the programme, understanding the staff, understanding the issues that were faced. And this really helped us to hit the ground running and start adding value to the project straight away. We agreed with the team at the Post Office that we would deliver a concise management report outlining what it's costing the Post Office currently to run their transformation programme, because they admitted to us that up until this point they had no evidence of the true cost of running the programme. We analysed the business processes using IBM Blueworks Live, which is the industry-leading process modelling and mapping tool, and it makes it very, very easy to visualise processes, and I'll talk more about IBM Blueworks Live later. And we agreed with them the areas for improvement. Now, our initial assessment discovered 40% efficiency savings for the programme as it stood, and this was £6.8 million, so not an insignificant amount. We presented this back to the Post Office with actionable recommendations that working groups within the team could take forward to their departments. So in a very clear and concise way, we were able to provide what the business justification would be for implementing a workflow solution to reduce costs by reallocating resources to other programs. Now, it's a very important point to make. In that £6.8 million, we were limited by the Post Office to only looking at the savings we could make from resource costs. So as part of the process, we didn't expand the range of the savings beyond resource costs. So the £6.8 million was simply on resource. The rest of the savings were significantly higher. Things like supplier charges for missed SLAs, costs for engaging partners, and costs for temporary and contractor workers weren't included in the scope of the study. So at the end of the day, we gave them options that they didn't have before they engaged with us. And we're pretty straightforward about the options we gave them. The first option, as it is with any business or any organisation, is to do nothing. And that's always an option, isn't it? Well, that's the thing. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. And with the austerity and with the budget cuts that are coming out from central government at the moment, more and more often it isn't an option. And so the second option we gave them was a serious list of actionable recommendations. And this project gave the Post Office 239 recommendations, which they could action or take back to the business to action. And these recommendations on their own offered 25% cost saving on the process as it stood. And we calculated that adding a workflow solution like IBM BPM on cloud or IBM ODM to embed these savings would deliver a 40% saving for the Post Office. And so let's look at the benefits that were delivered. We were at the Post Office for 30 days, so it took us 30 days to find £6.8 million worth of savings. At the end of the project, they could now understand the full end-to-end customer journey, including all the points where risk need to be managed. We provided them with a complete actionable list of process improvement opportunities with the next steps for improvement. And we mapped and fully explained the cost of running the current processes, which means that we could provide a really clear business justification, including an ROI for the complete project. And that's what we call our business case for change. And we'd even gone further than that. And we provided a complete analysis of the findings with a clear plan for how the Post Office could move forward, including the deliverables. So on this slide, I've also included a new testimonial from one of our new customers that we're working on a similar project, and this is with the NHS. I'll just read this one to you. T-Impact constructively challenge current ways of working that help us make our business better. They promote an agile delivery approach which has been very effective in our environment. We are very happy with their work and find the team personable and friendly to work with. And it's great to have such ringing recommendations from our clients. So before I come back to talk a little bit more about BlueWorks Live, here's a summary of the service offerings that T-Impact offers. In this case, for the Post Office, we delivered what we call our business case for change. And that is a short, sharp, often fixed price, often fixed time length project that enables us to spend a short amount of time with an organisation, but identify huge efficiencies and the potential to save money and the potential to improve the service that you're giving to customers or the general public and stakeholders. The next step in the series is our process automation product. We embed the savings that we've identified in the business case for change with technology, and by using a tool like IBM BPM or IBM ODM based on the cloud or on-premise. And that enables us to take the savings that have been identified in the business case for change and embed them in an organisation in a way where a lot of the workflow can be automated. And then our third service offering is continuous improvement. And this ensures that the savings identified are fully realised and carry on being improved where possible. Now, it's important to mention that, as Richard mentioned earlier, T-Impact is on G-Cloud. We're a digital marketplace supplier, and all of these service offerings are available easily for you to find out more about via G-Cloud. And 90% of the work that we do comes from personal recommendation from clients and partners. So I like to think that we must be doing something right. So just to touch quickly on BlueX Live, we talk to all of our clients about BlueX Live because we believe it's one of the best tools, or the best tool in the marketplace for process modelling and mapping. We used it in our post office case study to capture and map their current processes. Now, it's a really simple, but it's a really highly effective cloud-based tool. And if you're using something like Visio today, or if you're using brown paper on a wall with post-it notes, I can't recommend enough that you have a look at IBM BlueX Live. There's a great quote on this next slide from Bruce Silver. BlueX Live gets business users excited about process improvement by engaging them directly in the information capture, analysis, and proposed improvement. And that's the great feature about BlueX Live. It's not only there for drawing pictures, which is really what Visio is for. It enables you to add things to the process maps, so things like cycle time, and you can play that back to stakeholders to show them the length of time that a process will take, the as-is process, and then the to-be processes, and it really brings it to life, the difference in process changes. And because it's collaborative, you can share these processes with multiple users in multiple territories without any problems. It's also standardized using the standard BPM and 2.0 notation, so it integrates very easily straight into BPM systems. Our customers really love it. These are 5 of the reasons that they tell us that it's fantastic to use, and like I say, we use a lot of these tools in our work, but BlueX Live is by far and away the best one. So just to cover that off, if you are interested in giving it a try, IBM can offer you a 30-day free trial. We set up an easy link on this screen, so please take a screenshot of this page, and then you'll be able to access it, and we'll send it around afterwards. But most importantly, if our work at the post office or at the NHS is interesting to you and you'd like to find out more about the work that we're doing and how we can help you in your organisation, we're offering at the moment a free readiness workshop to help you explore your process maturity, your efficiencies in your own organisation, and embedded with the free BlueX Live trial, it should give you a great basis for a new or for improving existing change project. We'll be circulating our contact details to all the attendees straight after this meeting. So please do come back to us and tell us more, or if you'd like to discuss a project with us, please do so. So that is the end of our slide deck. I'd now like to invite anyone who has a question on any of the work that we did here to reach out either by the control panel so that we can see you, and we will be able to answer it. I can see that we have a first question coming through. So the first question that we have from you is from Josh. So we have Visio today. Why is BlueX Live better? Okay, well that's quite an easy one to answer. I think I've touched on it a little bit. Visio is probably the most common process mapping tool, and we hear about it a lot. But I think it's really important to understand that Visio's it's predominantly a picture drawing tool. So it just gives you a static map of your process. So every time you want to create it, you create it, and then you send it to somebody else in the organisation. You can't collaborate on it, and you can't use it at the same time with other people, or save versions of it in a way that can be easily changed. The other sort of key point is that Blueworks Live gives you the ability to create process maps which have the underlying process metrics. So whether that's the cost of activities, the volumes, the cycle time, and then you can play that back to the stakeholders. So you can completely work on a case-by-case basis. But we can work on a case-by-case basis too, to help you understand the primary benefit of Blueworks Live for your organisation. So please get in touch with us. So we also have another question. So this one's come through from Darren. Darren, who says, we've been trying to invest in a change project for the last 18 months, but it's been really difficult to get buy-in from the team. What can we do to get something started in our organisation? Okay, well, that is a fantastic question. It's always something that our conversation with organisations start with, because it's often a very difficult thing to embark on a large or even a small project. What we can do to help you with this process is we can define a potential value case for your project before you commit to spending any money. So that's our investment to you, and it typically takes 3 to 4 hours of time to get there. So the workshop that we're proposing for free as part of this webinar enables us to give you a value case that you can take back to your business. It's essentially a hypothesis that we want to prove or disprove through the business case of change, and it ensures that you can have a hard ROI for the project before you sign off any significant investment in the technology. So I hope that answers the question, but please get in touch with me after the webinar if we can help you with anything else there, because it is one of those things that we come up against really very often. So if anybody else has a question, please raise your hand or write a note for us in the dashboard. We've got one more question that's just coming through. So someone is asking me if we can provide a more comprehensive demo of Blueworks Live to see if it can help us in our organisation. So yes, absolutely, we can do that. We're typically and more seen as the go-to guys by IBM for helping organisations to understand the value of process transformation, and this really often extends to us explaining the pros and cons of a technology solution, and technology is often tied up in these projects. So we can easily set up to provide time for a one-to-one demo of Blueworks Live, and as I mentioned earlier on, we can provide a 30-day trial for Blueworks Live as well. So I think that is everything that we have for questions for this session. I think it's just worth mentioning the price of Blueworks Live. I mean, it comes down to around about £40 per user per month, so it's a very low cost option, and depending on how you deploy it. But it's a really interesting and a great tool for collaborating and mapping processes. As I mentioned before, if you'd like to know more about any of the work that we're doing with the Post Office or with the NHS, and we can help in any way with the project in your organisation, please do reach out to us. Nina will be circulating our contact details, myself and Richard, after the call, and you have all of our details. But otherwise, that is our quick and short 30-minute webinar on the Post Office case study and about saving 40% efficiencies. And thank you very much for attending.